Trying to invest in real estate right now, it can feel like you're walking a tightrope. I mean, prices are all over the place. There's so much uncertainty, and that fear of buying right at the peak, it's real. But what if there was a strategy that wasn't just about surviving this kind of market, but actually using it to your advantage? Okay, let's get into it.
And that right there is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you put your money to work and protect it at the same time? Especially when the whole market feels like it's on shaky ground. It's a huge dilemma, but today, we're going to break down a really powerful answer.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the problem every investor is thinking about. Then we'll introduce the solution, something called a wedge deal. After that, we'll get into its secret weapon, that 20% margin. And finally, we'll cover how you can spot these deals yourself and see how it all plays out in the real world.
So let's kick things off with the big one, the investor's dilemma. It really all comes down to the fear of a falling market. You know the feeling, you buy a property and you're just praying that next month its value doesn't dip below what you just paid. That fear of losing money right out of the gate is what keeps so many people on the sidelines.
But what if I told you there's a way to fight back against that fear? It's not about hoping or guessing. It's a proactive strategy. It's called the wedge deal, and it's all about building yourself a financial cushion from the very second you get the keys.
Okay, so what is a wedge deal, really? Put super simply, you're on the hunt for a property that you can buy for way less than what it's actually worth. That gap between what you pay and its true value, well, that's the wedge. It's instant equity. This isn't about waiting around for the market to go up. It's about creating your own profit on day one.
And honestly, this one phrase just nails it. It sums up the entire strategy perfectly. You're not looking for the polished, perfect house with the new kitchen. No, you are actively searching for the diamond in the rough, that one house that looks totally out of place next to its beautiful neighbors. Why? Because that's where the value is hiding.
So you're probably thinking, how do you actually measure this opportunity? Well, that brings us to the investor's secret weapon, what we call the 20% margin of safety.
20%. Seriously, burn this number into your brain. It's the magic number we're aiming for. With a wedge deal, your goal is to snap up a property for at least 20% less than what it would be worth if it were all fixed up. This isn't just a goal, it's your safety net.
Just think of it like this. That 20% is your financial armor. If the market as a whole decides to take a 5 or even a 10% dip, guess what? You're still okay. You're protected because you built in this massive equity buffer from the very beginning. It makes your investment incredibly resilient.
All right, so the theory sounds great, right? It makes total sense on paper, but the big question is, how do you actually find these places? How do you train your eye to spot that ugly duckling that everyone else is just driving right past?
The secret really lies in properties that are, well, too gross for your average buyer. And this is all about psychology. We're talking about houses with hideous paint jobs, jungles for backyards, and kitchens straight out of the 70s. These things scare off regular home buyers who just want something they can move into. But for an investor, that gross factor is a massive blinking sign that says opportunity. The real skill here is knowing the difference between something that's just ugly and something that's a structural nightmare. We want cosmetic problems, not catastrophic ones.
And you know what? The process is actually pretty straightforward. It boils down to 3 simple steps. First, you find a really nice, desirable neighborhood where home values are strong. Step 2, you literally drive up and down those streets looking for the one house that sticks out like a sore thumb. And finally, you figure out why it's the worst house. If it's all just cosmetic stuff, the superficial things we just talked about, you might have just found yourself a wedge deal.
And look, this isn't just some textbook theory. There are companies out there, like Reinvest, that have built their entire business on this exact idea. They are masters at finding these homes that just need a little love, buying them at a huge discount, doing some basic updates, paint, new floors, maybe some modern light fixtures, and by doing that, they create a ton of value instantly. It's proof that there's real gold hiding underneath all that gross.
And this right here, this just perfectly breaks down the 2 different ways of looking at the same property. Your average buyer walks in and sees a total disaster, an unfixable mess. They see nothing but risk. But the investor, they see a simple cosmetic opportunity. They see a clear path to that 20% margin. They know that the very thing that makes the house too gross is what creates the instant equity.
So let's paint the before picture, right? You've got this house just sitting on the market for weeks, maybe even months. Buyers come in, take one look at the peeling wallpaper and the nasty shag carpet, and they walk right back out. It's completely overlooked, all because of how it looks on the surface.
And then, here's the after. An investor comes along who sees the good bones underneath all that cosmetic mess. They buy it for a price that's way below anything else in the neighborhood, and in that single moment, with that one transaction, they've created a huge chunk of equity for themselves, totally insulated from whatever the market decides to do next.
All right, so let's boil this all down. If you remember nothing else, remember these 4 things. 1. Hunt for the worst house on the best street. 2. Always aim for that 20% margin of safety. 3. Lean into the properties that are too gross for everybody else. And 4, and this is the most important part, your goal is to create your equity the day you buy, not just hope it shows up down the road.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. The next time you're driving through a really nice area and you see that one house, you know the one, with the overgrown lawn and faded paint, what are you going to see? An eyesore or a 20% margin of safety just waiting for someone to see the opportunity?